Hello everyone on Keyframes Every Day. My name is Daniel Brodeski and welcome to the first tutorial on this channel. In today's tutorial we are going to be animating this text in a very cool way. So let's take a look at the end result. As you can see, it comes into the screen in a very smooth way and then it disappears in a very interesting pattern. And taking a closer look at how it disappears, you can see that the text goes from a filled text to only a stroked text, and the center of the text sort of inflates outwards and basically erasing all of the center to leave us only with the stroke. And then the stroke simply writes off the screen. So let's see how we create it. Let's open up a new comp, so Ctrl N on the keyboard, and I'm going to call it tutorial. I'm working in 920 by 1080, 25 frames per second and 5 seconds long. Click OK and let's create a new solid to be our background, and I'll call it BG. Let's click make comp size and make this solid this kind of blue, desaturated light blue, and let's click OK. I'm going to add a new text layer and type awesome, and let's select another font and I'm going to use the Bebas Neo. I'm going to make the text just a bit larger, like 180. And let's center the anchor point using the reposition anchor point tool, which you can get on ascripts.com. So center it and click Ctrl Home with the text selected. So now our text is in the center of the comp. In the Effects and Presets panel, I'm going to find my CC Bender effect and add this effect to our text. Let's bring the top and the base points closer to the text itself. And now let's animate the text. I'm going to animate its position. Let's click P on the keyboard with the text selected to reveal the position property. And I'm going to set a keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch at the beginning of my timeline. And moving to the 1 second mark, I'm going to add another keyframe by clicking this little diamond. Now going back to my first keyframe, I'm going to drag the text out of the screen. The animation we have right now looks like this. A very dull and linear animation. It's not very interesting. Let's add some life to it. And we are going to do it by easing the keyframes. So I'm going to click F9 on the first keyframe and go into the graph editor with the position property selected. I'm going to select the left handle and extend it to the right, creating such an increase in slope. And now the text comes in like this. It sort of comes in to a sudden stop. And now I'm going to animate my CC Bender effect. By default, the style is set to bend. And if you increase the amount, you can see how it affects our text. It actually deforms the top while keeping the base at its place. And that's a very cool look, which can help you illustrate like jelliness or something like this. There are also other styles like the Marlene, and it is also pretty cool. It's keeping the top and the base at their places while distorting only the middle. And it can also be used very nicely with the bend style. And let's animate it. What I want to do is to make my top drag behind the base. So basically like the base is on the road and the top is dragging behind, sort of illustrates air resistance and wind. So I'm going to start at the beginning of my timeline and set a keyframe like -5 pixels. And click on the stopwatch and go to the 1 second mark, and here it actually hits the top of its speed, and I'm going to set the amount to be a bit higher, like -10. So for now it looks like this. Not very interesting because we don't have any overshooting. So the bottom came to rest and we are going to create an overshoot with the rest of the text. So let's move 3 frames forward and change the amount to like 7. another 3 frames forward, -5, 3 frames forward, +3, 3 frames forward, -2, another 3 frames forward, +1, and one less time, so we have 0 on the amount. So it looks like this. So I think it looks pretty good and we achieved the result pretty quickly. You can use many scripts and many tools to achieve this overshooting effect and not doing it manually like I did right here. But it's always good to know how to do this stuff manually and not always using scripts. So keep that in mind. I will link you to some useful scripts for creating overshoots anyway, but I wanted to show you the old technique, or the hard technique maybe. So what we are going to do now is actually make the text go from a fill text to a stroke, like this. So to do it, I'm going to duplicate my text, and in the effects and presets panel I'm going to type inner outer key and add it to my duplicate. I'm going to set the text color in the character menu to, let's say, red, so I can distinguish both of the layers. And with the second one selected, let's increase the edge thin. I'm going to increase it to like 3 pixels, and as you can see I have the red text and the white text behind it, and I can see only the white outline. So what I'm going to do is set the first text to be alpha inverted. What it means, I will not see my red layer and I will not see anywhere it touches the text itself. So I'm left only with the subtraction of both of the layers. And that's not what I'm looking for, because right now I have the outline at all time and I want to have the text filled. So I'm going to animate the edge thin. I'm going to set a keyframe for this at 2 seconds and another one at 3 seconds. The first one is going to be 10 or maybe a little bit higher, so I have all of my text filled. So I had to use like 16 pixels, which is a lot. But you might use a lower number, it depends on the size of your text and the font. But right now I'm using 16 pixels and it goes from 16 to -3, and you can see how it looks. I can select the second keyframe, click F9, go into the graph editor, maybe extend this handle a little bit to the left. So that's how it looks. And now what I want to do is pre-comp both of these layers, and I'm going to call them text. And now let's go into the text composition, select the first text layer, go into layer and auto trace. Click OK, and I have a layer which is called auto trace. I'm going to pre-compose this layer, so Ctrl-Shift-C on the keyboard, and I'm going to move all attributes and call it matte. I'm going to delete the matte layer from the text composition and drop it into my tutorial composition from the project panel. In the matte composition, I'm going to select my newly created solid, go into the effects and presets, and select the stroke effect. I'm going to click on transparent, and I'm going to increase the brush size a little bit. And let's check the checkbox which says all masks, so we have all of our text. Now what I want to do is animate the ending point, and it looks like this. Right now each letter animates after the other, and this is because stroke sequentially is selected. I'm going to deselect it and it looks like this. All of the letters are animated at once. So I'm going to set a keyframe for the end at 3 seconds. Let's click on the stopwatch, move to 4 seconds, and now my end will be 0. So the animation looks like this. And I'm going to use this as a matte layer. In my tutorial composition, I'm going to set the text comp to be alpha matte. So it means when my matte disappears, my text will disappear as well. As you can see, we have the desired effect. But now we have only the outline at all time, and it looks pretty weird. So we want our matte to be like this only when the text becomes an outline itself. So we are going to cheat a little and create a white solid, call it matte, and make it white and comp size. And this solid is going to be only between the beginning of the timeline and 3 seconds. And then we will have only our matte. Maybe it will end a second earlier. So it starts as a full outline. You can see that by using this white solid we have solved the problem, and the text is filled at all time until it comes to a stop, and then the fill actually disappears and it becomes a stroked text. And then comes the part where the text disappears. So the problem was that the text was not on the screen at all time, and the solution to it was simple white solid. So basically that's the technique I used to create the preview. I used a few effects in an interesting way, like the inner and outer key, which is from the keying category and is not usually used in motion graphics, and you saw how to apply it to achieve some very cool motion graphics. The CC Bender effect is a really great effect to achieve a jelly look, or basically bending, in various ways. You saw how to create an overshoot by yourself, not only using scripts. And of course, the power of pre-composing and layer ordering to get what you are looking for. Hopefully this tutorial was useful for you. Please subscribe to this new channel. Many more tutorials are about to be uploaded. I'm Daniel Brodeski, and thank you for watching.